It's a mystery. Some say there's a better way. People love to talk to ease the pain. No way it's ever gonna solve a thing. Speak out, love to hear your voice. War and hate that seem to be the drugs of choice. Tell me what tomorrow brings. It's a mystery. Open your eyes to truly see that there's no more time left for you and me. Now such a mystery that we refuse to see. We never ever knew. Godspeed, here's a time late. Better grab what's yours, don't hesitate. Don't say you didn't really have a clue.
All right, welcome back to the Howard Stern of Pro Wrestling, Monte The Pharaoh, with our special guest, Miss Shelly Martinez. Shelly, how are you, my friend?
You know, I'm doing fine and dandy like sour candy. I went to Chuck E. Cheese today, people. Chuck E. Cheese.
I gotta tell you, I miss Chuck E. Cheese. We don't have those around here anymore.
You know, I didn't know this. I grew up going to Chuck E. Cheese because my parents, they split up like a long ass time ago. And so on visitation day, my dad would take my sister and I to Chuck E. Cheese every Tuesday because he had a Mondays and Tuesdays. And this was in the 90s. So fast forward, I didn't realize till not that long ago that all the animatronics at the Chuck E. Cheese's that still exist are no longer. And the one I went to today, which isn't too far from my house, is the only one, I believe, in the US that still has the animatronics. So I got to see the animatronics today, which totally took me back. And I was like, yes, dude, this is awesome. I'm here for it. So thank you, Chuck E. Cheese in Northridge, for hosting a good time today.
I'm going to share my Chuck E. Cheese story that you brought it up. Back in the day, right? So, Jimmy, remember Chuck E. Cheese was right up down the street from here, right? Remember the one that was on, I don't know if the name of the street, right? So anyway, when we were in high school, we in Chuck E. Cheese back then, Shelly, I don't know if they do that now, but they actually had people in the costumes too running around. So you had the stupid, the robotics, which you like, right? And then you had the people in the outfit. And, as a horny teenager, I was like flirting with some kind of rabbit or some shit like that, wondering who's under the mask. And then the mask comes off and it's not what you expect.
The fantasy is killed.
The fantasy is murdered.
This doesn't top it, but I do remember the people that walk around. And here's the thing, I'm not being boastful. I'm just being honest. I'm really good because I spent so much time at Chuck E. Cheese for so many years at air hockey. and skee ball. And I remember that I would be playing air hockey and grown men, because I was a teenager, young teenager, like 13, 14, wanted to play me, and I was beating all of them, and it was like hurting their feelings, like they were getting mad. And so I remember Chuck E. Cheese, whoever was dressed as Chuck E. Cheese, he went up against me. And it was like this whole battle that was going on, and all these. It was almost like a Kelly Bundy when she like was playing pool on Married with Children. She was beating
Right.
all the dudes.
Yeah.
That was me, a young me playing and they would get so mad. These grown men, and they couldn't understand, like, and it made me kind of have a little bit of spite towards them, because I was like, ew, whatever, like, what's their problem? Fine, I'll go harder. And I would just go and get it every time, like, dude. So that's your story's way better, but yeah, I
No,
do
I'm not gonna
remember.
say mine's way better. I'm just wondering, did you end up playing for money at some point? Like,
I
you're
should
at that
have.
point. You
I
could have
should
cleaned
have.
house, man.
I should have, dude. I should have. But it's okay. I'm just grateful that I'm good at air hockey and skee ball, because I feel like I can be at places that have those types of things, and I get to go in the zone. And so if I'm around people like maybe I don't like because I'm invited to something, or I'm gonna go play air hockey, I'm gonna play skee ball, and I just get in my little zone or whatever.
You know what sucks? Like, you remember when you were younger, you think you were, well, you were better at things, right? And then you think you still have that skill, and as you get older, also that skill is gone, and it's like even with like video games, when videos came. Again, Jimmy and I are old enough where we were around when video games first came out, right? Remember Pong?
Yeah.
You don't remember that. Shelly, you were around for Pong?
Dude, I know those old games for sure.
She wasn't
Do you,
around for
do
it,
you
but
remember the
she.
Slinky?
Oh
Did you
Duh,
do
God, yeah.
are you kidding me?
all right, tell us a Slinky story. You hung out with the Slinky? Like, what'd you do with the Slinky?
I did everything with the Slinky, because here's the
Oh,
thing.
great.
I grew
Do
up
tell.
in a very no, nothing good like
You know
that.
what
Come on.
happens when you bend a slinky? It never goes back to its original shape.
But I grew up in a very strict home where I was on lockdown
No,
24/7.
no
So I
slinky
had to
bending.
find things to do. So yeah, Slinky, when
Wow.
you're not allowed to like socialize, and all
Yeah.
you have is your damn Slinky,
Right.
you find
Right.
creative ass shit to do with the
Yeah.
damn Slinky.
Well, Shelly, think about the concept of the Slinky. It's like it can't do shit. It's like
Oh,
Well,
it
wait a
can.
minute.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
yes,
Wait a
it
minute.
can.
Think about the lyrics. Well, I'll ask you. I'll ask you guys this: what walks upstairs alone or in pairs and makes a slinkety sound? Do you, Mike?
Jimmy. It's scary. You remember the song to the
It's a
Slinky.
thing, a marvelous thing. Everybody knows it's Slinky. It's Slinky, it's
Slinky,
Slinky. It's such. I'm
Slinky.
singing it bad on purpose. It's such a wonderful toy. It's good
It's
for a girl and a
Slinky,
boy.
Slinky. Yep. That's
Come
it.
on,
But
it's
think about the
legendary.
connotations with that. It's fun for a girl
And a
and
boy.
a boy.
Well, oh wow! But you know what though? I shouldn't be shocked that you were hitting on a furry back in 1985 at Chuck E. Cheese.
Is that your
So
fetish?
yeah,
Did you continue with
Mike.
that?
Mike never ceases to
No,
amaze me.
it is not. It wasn't a fetish, but there is something when someone's behind the mask. You're ready. You're excited,
You-
and there's nothing worse than being let down.
Tell me
No,
about
Again,
it. I'm in wrestling, and when you think some lucha guy is super awesome and hot and the best thing in the world, and he takes his damn lucha mask off, and you're like, you're a effing nerd. Huh?
wow,
What? What was
wow.
I thinking? I
So,
get it.
Mike, did you scream in horror when Gene Simmons took off the Kiss makeup for the first time?
good question. Was a little surprised what he looked like because he used to bag a lot of women, right? Like
Of course,
Cher.
with the makeup, he's
He had all
legendary.
those hot chicks, right? So I was like, he's
Sure.
got to be a good-looking guy under there. But
Oh,
again, I'm not going
Is
to
he
say
bad
he's not.
looking?
I, I can't say he's not good-looking because so many beautiful women were
Oh yeah.
attracted to him.
you know, Gene's kid is good looking.
Oh
Oh,
my
she's gorgeous.
gosh,
Both
Nick.
of them,
Ugh.
yeah,
Hey,
Yep.
good-looking kids.
Because they
yes.
got the tweed and the cinnamon in there.
And,
The
and he hooked
daughters are
up with
beautiful too.
Tweed, right? And I mean, come on. And again, money goes a long way. I get it, and rock stars fame goes a long way. But I don't
Let me
think he's
tell
a
you
bad
guys
looking guy.
something. My time with Mr. Gene Simmons that I've had back in the day, he is a vibe. He is a vibe. And like, I know he's an asshole, okay? And he's done crappy things to people, blah, blah, blah. But let me tell you, as a woman, when you get invited to a Gene Simmons dinner party with him and all his buddies, oh my gosh, it is like how you would think people look like to me. Everyone's different. Hugh Hefner is a nerd that figured it out and like tried to be this cool guy. Whereas Gene Simmons, he is a vibe, dude. He makes you just want, as a woman, look at him, hear what he has to say. And then on top of that, the first time I was ever at a dinner table and a man stood up when a woman got up to leave the table, it was Gene Ethan Simmons. So when you're a woman and you're like, holy shit, and now he's like respecting, like the first guy to sit up to before and then when the ladies come back in the room, he stands back up, lets them sit down, and then he sits down like Gene Simmons. And then he has this like this thing, this like it's like I don't know what it is. So that's why I was like, is he unattractive? Because to me, it's like he puts a spell on women, and being around him in person and dining with him, he is his own entity of this world. And I don't know what it is, but he is a vibe.
But let me ask you, Shelly, is there some point where women are shallow? Like, for example, and I know it's a fictional character, right? But the fictional character turned into a woman. Women were crazy over him. James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano, right? Women have told me like if Gandolfini wanted to give him a run, they were all over it because of the character. Like is there something about that? Like if there's some
It's
kind of
aura.
character, right?
It's aura.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, Shelly, I mean, I don't mean to cut you off at the pass, but it's aura. You don't have to be. Look, we all live in a casing. Some are very attractive, obviously, like a Brad Pitt. Come on, it's a no brainer, and some aren't. But aura can make you, man. You do not have to be the
Yeah,
best
but wait a minute,
looking
bro.
guy. You don't have to be the best looking girl.
If Gene Simmons is playing the part of Monty and Monty and the Pharaoh, I don't think a lot of women are all into that. That's
Gene
what I'm
Simmons
trying to
was not
say.
meant to play the part of Monty and the Pharaoh. What she confirmed by talking about Gene, Mike, is what we were told when we were 10 years old and we put on Calling Dr. Love. He's Dr. Love. He
Oh,
believes
he
it.
is.
He breathes it. He is it. And it comes off of him. Doesn't even matter if he's like, Brad Pitt. Irrelevant. His aura is appealing to women for shit
And you know what
sure.
a lot
Gotta
of it has
be.
to do with is the confidence.
Right.
The confidence. And when Gene Simmons walks into a room, even if he looks busted because of whatever reason, he owns the room. He's like one of those. Like men, like I feel like that kind of trait typically is put on a woman, like, oh, this woman like brightened up the room, or when this woman's in the room. Like,
Right.
so like think about women like that, right? Well, there's male equivalents to that. And maybe a lot of times a woman brightening up a room tends to be more than not an attractive or more than attractive kind of woman, but not always. But with the men, it's not about that. It's about this vibe. It's about being a woman and wanting a man to take care of you, to take control, but still treat you right. And like kind of be a little bit of a dick to you because he puts you in your place. It's like it's this whole like, ooh, like it's like a power thing, you know what I mean? And that's why like someone like Brad Pitt, I'm not saying he's ugly, but he's never been for me. Brad Pitt is not someone I feel that walks into a room and he owns the room.
Mm.
And you're right. If you put him against a Gene Simmons, typically speaking, people are going to be like, oh, Brad Pitt all day long. But put them in the room and put those same people in the room. I guarantee you, will be more drawn to Gene Simmons than Brad Pitt. And it would make Brad Pitt so insecure because he's not confident, in my opinion. He's very insecure and doesn't feel that role of a man, maybe, or that whatever he's missing that's making him not feel that. So that's gonna mess with him even more. And then his frequency is gonna drop even lower and lower the more he's in a room with a Gene Simmons with like 12 women, and those 12 women are gonna all of a sudden just be all about Gene Simmons.
Well, Shelley, do you think that women are more attracted to rock stars than they are actors or yeah, actors?
That's an interesting question because I want to say yes. I do, but then I think about see, come on. Oh my gosh, put that picture
That's
up again.
recent. Give the guy a break.
S-
Put one up from
s-
'91.
Dude, but he's still wait a minute, hold on, Jimmy. He's still a good looking guy. I mean,
No, I understand that,
that's
but
a
when I
that
say his name, I think about Interview with the Vampire days. Come on now, that's what I'm talking
dude,
about.
he's got a
By the
rugged
way,
look about him now. I mean, I'm not trying to, he's a good looking dude, man. I mean,
you
come
know
on.
who fills the room? You know who fills the room up? The way Shelley's describing on the female side of things, Lady Gaga fills a room up. To me, that's someone who, when she walks in, you take that shit seriously. There's a serious, or like a confidence, a command, a presence, whatever the hell
That's
you want to
so
call it.
interesting. I don't see that in her. I see something completely opposite. That's so
Really?
interesting. I
Wow.
see a girl who just wants everyone to think she's so cool and to like her and has to be deep and all these things. Like I went to school with girls like that and always thought at first they were really, really cool and like
Mm.
wanted to be a part. But then I realized they treated me like shit because, and I didn't know why. And then when I was an adult, I look back and I'm like, oh, because I was authentic. And they put on this persona. Oh, give me a break. Give me a break.
Not
So
buying it.
insecure, so
Not buying it.
insecure. Like,
Interesting.
no, like I know, like let me think of a woman who I can think of that owns a room. I'll think about that. But yeah, that's really interesting because
Well, when you said Gene was a bit of a dick, I thought about Lady Gaga. She's a bit of a bitch, and
she's
neither
a
one of
bitch
them
in the
on the
way
surface, are like, oh my god, outstandingly good looking. In my opinion, Mike might think that Lady Gaga's a lot hotter than I do. I've
Gaga,
never looked at her that way.
I'm gonna, whoops. My
What
God.
the heck is that?
I was listening to Warlock before. Uh,
Warlock. All right.
Gaga almost uglies herself up, like
Yeah.
on purpose. That's the way I look at her. And that stems confidence to me. She's like, I'm going to try to make myself look, because if you saw her in the remake of The Star is Born, she's a beautiful lady, a natural beauty, right? Without the blonde hair and all that stuff. Very good looking lady. So, again, I totally get with you guys. I understand where Shelley's coming from. I think she's definitely got some insecurities
Huh.
that she's comes out with. I mean, I've seen that. I think I agree with that analysis of her.
well, see, here's the thing with the like ugling herself down. I feel that's part of her shtick.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not one of these. And so then to me, that's not confidence. If you want to be like, look, I don't care about wearing makeup that much or ugly or not ugly myself, but I want to look rough or like whatever, because that's how you feel. Because been there. That's one thing, but she comes off to me like, "See, I'm not that girl. I'm this girl, my little monsters, and I know how you feel."
Hmm.
Meanwhile, it's like, "Do you?" Because I don't know. And so I feel like I just know girls like that, dude, and they didn't make sense to me, like their like situation or vibe until I got way older and I reflect back. 'Cause when you're young, you don't get it. So, like, Gaga falls in that category of just, like, she wants you to think she's cool, that she's not like them, that she's down to earth, that you're her buddy, that this and that, blah, 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 but I think really when you're that kind of person, you have a certain essence about you that's very effortless, and you don't have to throw it in people's faces. And her constantly throwing my little monsters and this and that, and the meat dress and all this and that, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's like, oh, okay, whatever, dude. All right. Do you? That's fine.
I tell you one thing that does annoy me. Great, she's an incredible talent, but when she was playing with Metallica and or singing AC/DC, whatever she was doing, I was like, just
I didn't see
stop.
that.
I was
No, you
like,
don't
yeah,
want to.
just stop.
No, you don't
'Cause,
want to. I'll tell you what. If it is by design with her, there is one thing she's very smart at. I always considered her like the next generational step of a Madonna, kind of the way she's sold and stuff.
Mhm.
She's smart enough to be edgy. Madonna had no clue what Madonna was going to be outside of being Madonna. Her film career was a joke for the most part, let's face it. But Lady Gaga has found ways.
I don't know about that, Jimmy. I mean, she
Well,
did League
what?
of
What do
Their
you
Own. I
okay,
mean,
take
she
away Major
wasn't
League. What else you got for me?
desperately seeking Susan. She wasn't a bad actress,
Oh,
dude.
stop it with
She was in
Desperately
Vision
Seeking
Quest. Stop.
Susan. Look at what Lady Gaga's got on her resume, and you're going to give me Desperately Seeking Susan as film? Come on. What I'm trying to get at is that Lady Gaga's been very smart in her marketing. She shops herself with an edge, and that's what I meant by when she walks in a room. Gene Simmons has an edge. Her shtick, whether you buy into it or not, is working to the masses.
Totally.
So
And I
you know,
agree with you with like I've always thought she was like a not to compare her because it's like they're not comparable in a lot of ways, like their music and everything, but like with the Madonna thing, I always kind of felt
yeah,
like the next generations, and
yeah,
I totally get that. I'm not trying to trash the girl. I'm just saying like that's just how I always felt about her because I used to buy into her. That's the thing.
right,
I used to, and this is a opinion that evolved to this because after a while I was like, okay, gotcha.
yeah,
That's why. Because here's the thing, something I've learned with social media is when I follow and unfollow someone constantly, because what'll happen is I'll get rubbed wrong by them and then they just really bug me and get under my skin. So I'll unfollow them. And then they'll like do something and I'll be like, see, I do like them. And Lady Gaga was one of those people who had always follow and unfollow, follow and unfollow. And then when I started seeing the pattern, I was like, you know what? I have a new rule for myself. If I follow and unfollow like a celebrity or like whatever talent, and that's why I like them, um, maybe I don't like them because like it's just like the follow unfollow that tells me something. And Lady Gaga was the first one that I did that with. And I kept re-falling in love with her because she was doing these awesome projects or come out with a cool song or whatever. But I really got interested in her when I started to see these different shades of her, especially like when she did the thing with Tony Bennett. I'm a huge fan of that type of music.
right,
So I thought it was really cool to see a different side of her. I
yeah,
didn't feel that she was trying too hard with it. I feel that was very effortless and genuine, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching them perform together, the whole 9 yards. So then that's when I went back on to the Gaga train, and then now
hmm
I'm like, "Oh," I call her Lady Barf Bag. I'm just like, "Oh, I can't,
yeah.
dude." But that's just me.
I was honestly never a fan of hers. I was just found it an interesting parallel to a Gene Simmons type. Not on the surface, necessarily good looking. Bit of an asshole. Somehow has this aura. That's the only connection I
I'm trying
saw.
to think of somebody who's like a female Jean to me.
A female Gene.
A female
Yeah.
Gene.
Good luck.
Well, I'm just saying like somebody that's like, you
Well, they'd
know
have to be a penny pincher. Um, they would have they would have to think that they well at least come across that they think that they're perfect. I don't know who would fit that. That fits a lot of Hollywood
that's
types,
what
to
felt
tell
a
you the
lot of
truth.
Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah, we got a bit of a clusterfuck.
How about Angelina Jolie?
That's a
Ooh,
good one.
that's a
That's a
good
good
one,
one.
Mike.
Because
That's a
even if
good one.
people in the room hated her,
And she fills the
they
room
would
for
hate her
sure.
even more if she was in the room with them because they can't help but
Yeah.
stare at her.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
Right,
saying? So, like, even
right.
if
right.
there's a room full of people who know her personally, don't like her, their night is ruined and won't be able to ignore her because she owns that damn room.
She's too good
That's how
looking as a comparative though, because we need someone that's like Gene Simmons level, Mike.
Yeah, but you know what I find funny, like not to stick on Angelina Jolie, but we talked
Yeah.
about Madonna also, right? Both of
Mm-hmm.
them were a bit promiscuous, right? In a lot of ways. And now that they have
Yeah.
kids, it's like, they don't let them watch TV, you know, they got the shackles on them. I mean, Madonna's kid wasn't around, like from what I read, wasn't allowed to watch TV or nothing like that. So it's like, I don't know. I think it's odd when you build your career on being this sex kitten, right? And all of a sudden you become a mom. Also, it's like, oh, off, put the shackles on. You know what I'm saying?
maybe that has to do with how can I say this without saying too much? Maybe it has to do with their fear of their kid maybe falling into some kind of mind control because they know how the media and entertainment business works. Maybe it has something to do with that. Or it could also have to do with, I know a normal person that's a mom, and she's very controlling but can't control her own life. It's always like out of control, right? But she's always so controlling to where just earlier today, one of my friends that lives with her was like, "Oh, she told me I can't listen to a podcast without my earbuds on because there was cussing in it." And it's like, "Are you kidding me?" So it's like that is another thing I can see Angelina Jolie being like, you're saying you made your body of work on this. You don't even let your kid watch TV, being all strict, and it's like control. Like you can't control your life, so you got to control something. And I see that a lot in Hollywood with these Hollywood kids, these celebrity kids get all effed up because their parents don't truly have control over themselves and their lives. So the only thing they can control their kid. And so then they're like super weird with their kid. And then their kid ends up being one of these ugly stories you hear about on TMZ all the time, you know?
Mm.
So it can go both ways or both. Who knows?
And amazingly enough, it looks like Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley have raised two fine young men. How you like that?
It's true. I
Yeah,
think so. I think so.
it looks
Like,
that way.
did you guys used
It
to
does.
watch Family Jewels? Did
Friggin'
you
love
ever
that
see it?
show.
Oh
Oh
my
Love
god,
that
God.
me
show.
too.
My God,
Oh
I
Oh
my
loved
no.
gosh.
it.
I loved it. But yeah, that's why I was like, Nick, yeah, because he was a little boy then. Or not little, but younger. And I really thought it was cool. I mean, whether it was for camera or not, I don't know. It seemed genuine how both parents parented their kids. You know what I mean? Like they seem like pretty good, you know?
Well, you know, you could see Gene had moral fiber, though. It was like, you know, I think his mother was a survivor. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Hmm.
the father left them, and you know, the guy had moral fiber. So it's like, you know, just because someone's a rock star and likes to sleep around with women, right? Living the rock star life, he really didn't do drugs. He really didn't drink.
No.
You know, he had more moral fiber than I do. That's for sure. You know what I'm saying? So. Um, so Jimmy, I don't, you know, consider you know, I usually do most of our social media. Shelly's very active on social media, but here's a little interesting tidbit. I think would be fun to talk about. She was in the Chop Suey video for System of the Down. Can you tell that story?
Yes. Oh my goodness. So I wish you could see me in it, but you just can't. What if that's me right behind him? No, just kidding. So it kind of eyebrows and everything.
Wow.
So what had happened? It was the same casting agency, Sandy Alisi Casting. Shout out to them, who booked me for the independent film I was in about wrestling that started my whole wrestling career. It was the same company, and they booked me for this this music video, and I knew it was just like not a bit part or anything. It was just like a extra kind of thing. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I had no idea what it was. I was really nervous because I was super young. And I took my little sister with me. And I go up into the Hollywood freaking canyons, and there's this abandoned hotel. And I'm like, "What is going on? Are we gonna die?" Like, it was so creepy. And then I pull up and I see all these people. I'm like, "Okay, I guess this is where we're supposed to be." It was at some weird hotel that looked abandoned, but I don't know. We were there, and they gave us all the black t-shirts. And System at the time, that's when Toxicity had just came out,
Hmm.
and the album had just come out, but Chop Suey was the single, and it was barely getting played on the radio. Yeah, that's how new it was when we were recording or filming the video. And System of the Down, in between takes, when there's a lot of downtime, literally played the entire album for us. Like they were like, okay, this is another one that's on it. Like we were at a concert. It was so crazy because I was like, oh my gosh, I was already a System fan. So to me, I was like, wait, this is a System of a Down video? Like, wait, what? And so I was just like, holy crap, like this is happening. And it's so crazy because this is before I became a cannabis user. And I just remember one moment like that stands out is there was a room and the door opened and there was all this smoke came out, and then Shavo came out and he was like smiling, and I was like, what is going on here? Like this is wild. It's like a dream. And at the time I had a crush on Darren, and I remember I tried to hook up with him.
Oh,
I was trying to
God.
hook up with him, dude. And it's funny because one of the music executives pulled me aside. They were like, "Well, he has a girlfriend, but and they were trying to like pit me out or whatever." But it's funny. I won't say which one, but years later, I ended up hooking up with another band member. But that's besides the point. But yeah, dude, it was really crazy and just like that intimate setting in this creepy hotel, and they were telling it was just like like a show telling stories. We used to be down there, Sunset Boulevard, and like it was like a completely wild scenario. We were there for like 12 hours. The band was out most of the time during the shoot of it, so that's really not something that happens often. Usually the band or the talent, they're away from the extras or the other actors if there's other actors, whatever. So it's so crazy to me how influential that album was to me, still is, and how later on down the line, the scenario that happened when I hooked up with another band member, it just like all kind of is like a full circle weird thing. And I have Sandy Elise casting to thank for these memories.
What do you get paid for something like that?
It was like $100 for 12 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
Those cheap bastards.
I'm actually going to be in a Spielberg movie, right, Jimmy? I shot it in February. I got paid a grand total of $86.48 for like 10
Mike,
hours.
Sounds
you know,
about right. Sounds
you
about
know,
right.
you know what I'm laughing about? I'm like, it's just amazing how things sometimes work for people. She's telling this incredible story about how she comes across System of the Down, and then later on, System of the Going Down. Forgive me, uh, but I'm thinking about it. I've been a musician my whole fucking life. You know what my highlight is? Running into people when I worked at a lab, and Eric Bloom from Blue Oyster Cult brought me his piss cup. Went. It's like, oh my god! I mean, I had a couple of highlights, but I can't say I had any, hookups with famous band people. Jeez,
Well,
nice talking.
a hot chick, especially
Yeah.
then, young, running around,
Oh yeah.
all innocent, not knowing what, with stars in my eyes, and just like, oh my gosh, like, and it wasn't like I was never one of these girls that was like, oh, just because you're famous, like da da da. It was like I had to be drawn to you. Then the creep level came out. Like
Right.
you had
Right.
to have a little something, like some kind of thing, like substance to you or energy and the vibe.
Right.
So I feel because of that, that's why I got so many opportunities to be invited to exclusive situations, like whether it's invited to this party or getting booked on something that because people knew. I remember the night I hooked up or I got the number of one of the System of a Down guys. We were going to a Danzig concert, and I was in this limo with a
Dancing.
bunch of girls and these dudes, and one of the dudes was one of my friends. Shout out Dougie, and they were always like roadies for bands and stuff like that. So I remember when we were in the limo, Dougie looks at me and he's like looking around all these girls. We're all drinking champagne. And he goes, "You know what, Shelly? You know what the difference is about you? I could take you anywhere. Like I could literally take you anywhere and have you in front of everyone. And like I would never get embarrassed." He's like, "Look at these girls." And to me, I'm like, they're having fun, like whatever. And that's when I realized, oh, that's why I get invited to go backstage or go to dinners or to do these different things that are like group things, not just like dudes hitting on me, but like I was always invited to these cool opportunities because I wasn't out there just being like, "Oh my god, like I want to F you." It was
Right.
like, that just wasn't it. It was like if I am drawn, I'm drawn. And like I said, that's when the creep level would go would turn on. But um it's just so interesting, all of the stories that I have and the experiences. That's why I am the way I am. And that's why going into when I went into the wrestling business, I had that kind of like attitude that rubbed people wrong because I was already, I don't want to say groomed because that sounds like negative, but not in a negative way. But I was already being groomed on how the entertainment business works when I was out here running
Mm,
around. You know what I mean?
mm.
And so that's why I was the way I was. It wasn't that I thought that I was like better than anyone or like
But
whatever. It was just like, dude, I already know the deal. I know how to survive in
but you
this.
know what I find funny about it? It's not funny, but it actually tells the type of person you are. Because when you were first on our first time not on together, you spoke about the guy from Entourage who was kind of trying to make you do something for some money, right?
Right.
And you refused. I think, would it be fair to say you're the type of person that has no problem doing it as long as it's on your terms and it's what you want to do?
Absolutely. And that's why, like, in wrestling, when I saw, like, shady things going down, like, people with their little hookups and this and that, I was always like, "Dude, whatever. That's on you. It's if as long as no one's getting hurt and, like, that whatever. Do what you gotta do." And that's just always been my vibe, is like, do what I want. Going back to Courtney Love, do what I want on my terms. I remember Courtney Love, she did, I think it was one of the VH1 things. She says, "Do what you want on your terms." And I've always adopted that with whatever it is. And I think that's why I have cool stories. And I also think that's why I got cocked blocked from a lot of opportunities and situations or whatever too. But that's fine, because I feel like when I miss out on things because of it, that's just God's way of protecting me from
Mm,
things that I don't need to be around any damn way.
sure. So settle this one. I know we're going to do a little wrestling talk, some other stuff, but settle this one. Jimmy and I a couple of weeks ago were talking about, you're a rocker, he's a rocker, I'm a rocker, but I have a pretty diverse catalog of music, right? Myself, and I'm not saying Jimmy doesn't, but Jimmy did tell me a couple of weeks ago that he did think that rap was crap, and I was like, you know what? When Shelly comes on, I'm going to have her defend this because you know what? I think I love rap.
I just have one thing to say about that. I am a nightmare walking, psychopath talking, king of my jungle, just a gangster, stalking the vibe like a firecracker, quick as my views. Vendetta, the death pack, the colors I choose, red and blues, cousin bloods. It just don't matter, sucker, die for your life with a shotgun, scatter colors. The gangs in LA, we never die, just multiply colors.
Oof. Jimmy, what do you got to say about that, big guy?
Music is not about talking, it's about playing. And if you're just talking, then I'm just saying that you ain't not rocking, then you can suck my, hey, how you doing there, folks?
But while
I
Ice-T
kept it
saying
clean.
all that, there is music going on in the back, and it's
Of course.
making you, it's
No,
drawing
of
you in. You're
course,
like,
of
yeah,
course.
dude, I am a nightmare walking psychopath talking.
Get
Like
some
if
metal
I was to
guitar
say
for
to
that.
you, Jimmy, Eminem, what are your thoughts of Eminem?
Eminem's a genius. Like, Mike, of course, starts it by making me look like Satan and giving a blanket statement on my opinion on rap. So let's get that out of the fucking way. Eminem is an absolute genius. What I would actually say about his lyrics is I have sat and read his lyrics. And of course, the key is that there is good music going on behind his shit. This guy knows what he's doing, okay? And he's real. That's another thing that goes a long way with me, any kind of musician. If you're real, I'm interested. You can have any background. You got to be real to me. And he's obviously a real one. When you look at his lyrics and you see them on paper, you realize, as this cat drives me crazy, he tries to impale me, you realize that he's like Bob Dylan as far as his complexity and lyricism. It's amazing. The guy is brilliant. The same goes for Tupac. The same goes for Biggie. I had an incident in a church when I was a youth minister. Yeah, folks, imagine that one. But when I was a youth minister, some lunatic over the top came down to the youth room and tore down Tupac's poster. Kids were crying, and I had to find a way to remove that thing from the building, that person. I did. And the poster went back up because it's not for you to judge. What are you even doing? So yeah, that stuff is brilliant. Is it for me? No, but that it doesn't mean that I don't see the brilliance of certain rap. Now there is other rap where I agree with Mr. Perfect that rap is crap. So it is what it is. I reach for heavy metal because on paper, the guitar work is usually based in classical, and that my first instruments was Beethoven, Mozart. These are the people I heard before I heard the Beatles. So I go back to heavy metal.
Shelly, were you a West Coast or an East Coast rapper?
Well, West Side all day long, but that doesn't mean that I'm opposed to the East Coast. I think there's a lot of good music that's come through there, got good artists that's coming from the East Coast, so I'm fine with it. But I am totally West Side all day long.
So I don't know how many people out there have Netflix. I would hope they do, but if they don't, good for you. I do, and that makes me happy. Anyway, they've got the new Sean Puffy Combs documentary just came out, which I've been watching while I'm at the gym on the elliptical. And I'll share some thoughts on it. Sean Puffy Combs is the Vince McMahon of music production. He, this guy is a genius, but he's also power hungry. The things he did to people are you know, it's just the most disgusting things possible. But I found myself being drawn into this guy with, like, what you talked about right at the beginning of the show about people that come into the room that draw the. I'm watching this guy and I'm like, this guy is a genius. And I felt myself respecting him. What's wrong with me?
That's him. I used to go to some Playboy Mansion parties that he would throw. And dude, like he is a vibe too. You know what I mean? It's like that him and Gene, what I feel they both have in common is they feel no one can take them down, in their own different ways. I think Puffy is on a different level. Don't get me wrong, but that's part of, I feel that confidence they have is they feel untouchable. And with P. Diddy, it sucks because, like, dude, he's not the only one. That's how this town is ran, dude. And what makes him different from a lot of the other people that are out here doing the same things probably right now
Mm.
is, like you're saying, he was like the Vince McMahon of it. It's not like he was just a player. He was pulling the strings and had puppets for him while he's just sitting there going like this and laughing and whatever. And it's great. It sucks when, and it's just the way it effing goes when you have people that change things. Like Vince McMahon changed professional wrestling. P. Diddy has done so much in music that, like, he's changed music in a sense, at least in that genre. So, like, you have these people who, like, doing these huge things in these markets, creating jobs, like the whole 9 yards. And then they're just doing these vile, disgusting things. And it's just like, I think it just goes to maybe it's just never enough. At one point, this, and this was enough, and that's just not enough anymore. And that power and, like, how it can feed into, like, with money and fame and it's such a
I got a
it's like big.
tricky. I got
Go
a
ahead.
tricky question for you then. Let's say that you ended up with the power of a Vince McMahon or a P. Diddy. Do you think you would succumb to that same kind of, lack of a better term, evilness or power, I don't know, power hungriness? I don't know what the word is. Jimmy, help me out. Do you think Shelly Martinez would succumb to that same kind of behavior?
Hell no. And the thing is, I would never even be on the level of these people because they're around people who are they're normalizing all of this because that just comes with all of that. You get to a certain point in society, especially when it comes to when you're doing something in media. It's just I try not to talk about this because I don't want to get in trouble or whatever, but it's just like I would never even be presented that situation because I'm just not willing to go through all the things you need to go through to even get to that point, if that makes sense. So, like, that's the difference between me and those types of people. And look, everyone has their price. I'm not here to judge and be like, oh, I'm so great, I wouldn't do that. No, I know where my limit is. And these people, Vince McMahon, P. Diddy, they did vile, disgusting things to people. But at the same time, it's like they felt it was worth it, I guess, or
Mm.
that it's worth it. And so I just don't relate on that vibe at all. So there's just no way I could even be in that position, because you just have to be a certain type of person to be in that, if that makes sense. Or maybe not. Maybe it sounds like I'm rambling, but it's just I don't want to say too much.
No, I hear you, but can you respect a person or idolize them and also be disgusted by them at the same time?
Yes, because take okay, this goes back to, I think was it the first time I came on? Did we talk about the Janelle? We talked about the Janelle
Yes,
Grant
we
stuff.
did.
Okay. So it's just the same thing. It's like, yeah, all that stuff is horrible. Yes, disgusting. But look, the girl, it wasn't just one time. She continued to go through with this arrangement she had with Vince, right? So it's like, how can you really judge him when that's like their business? That's between those two people. It has nothing to do with the wrestling business. Him doing stuff to Janelle Grant and whatever else doesn't affect his product. You know what I mean? So you can't take away from him that he's done all these things for the world of professional wrestling and created jobs and stars and this and this opportunities, crossbreeding with media. You can't take that away from the man just because he does shitty things in his personal life. Now, P. Diddy, it's on a whole other level. Let's not get that confused, okay? These allegations and things like that. But you still find yourself, like when you're saying you watch it and you feel like, oh man, like I kind of like I'm respecting him. It's like, well, yeah, because he's done things. It's not like he's some douchebag running around that's all rich and doing all these things. You know what I mean? Like you have people like that out here. They're just rich douchebags that have like family money or something. Like he did stuff. He created content. He created jobs. He created stars. He changed things in his game. You can't take that away. There's other people that can't say that. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't compare it. It's like you have to
You
you
have to
have to
respect it. You have to respect he started from nothing and created this, he networked himself, he met some people, he worked it out with them, and bam. But again, you're right. It's like you
you have to
respect that.
separate it, is what
You have to
I meant to say.
separate it.
You have
Well,
to separate it.
You
let's
know,
jump into this because
Mike,
I want go ahead, Jimmy.
yeah, you said something interesting when you triggered this whole conversation. You asked Shelly, "What is wrong with me that I'm drawn to this man?" And then you said something interesting later about like idolizing. Now, I want to make something clear. You almost answered your own question. You've been asking me for the longest time about Charlie Manson. Now, when Charlie Manson obviously had an aura, and you always ask me, why do you like Charlie Manson? I'm like, I don't like Charlie Manson. I'm fascinated by Charlie Manson. There's a difference. So I guess, Mike, what I'm asking you is are you just fascinated with P. Diddy, or turn to idolization when you see all of his success? Because I know you love Vince, so I'm just curious, what you might think about that as far as Diddy. Is it just, are you fascinated by him? Because that I get. That's the reason why I'm fascinated with Manson. And Mike's not there. Oh, well, Shell, it's you and me too.
No, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
That's a
Hey
really,
guys,
really
Manson
cool
walked
guys,
in.
I hate to interrupt,
Yeah.
but I've gotta.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have to finish the show without me, and I'll text you guys, tell you what's going on. Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
guys. Thanks.
Oh man, I hope everything's okay.
Ooh. Well, that's a first. Never seen that happen before. Nyang.
I
Good Lord.
know.
Yeah. He would always ask me, yeah, I'm going to keep my eyes open and see what goes on here. But yeah, he would always ask me about Manson, and I was like, no, it's not a matter of liking Manson. It's just the aura factor.
Yeah, there's people, like, you make so much sense, because there's people who I just don't like, but I'm fascinated by, because of like that they are successful and like built themselves, like the whole nine yards, everything, all the things that's why he was saying that about P. Diddy, all the things. And now you just like gave me the missing piece of the puzzle of like, oh, that's what it is. I'm fascinated with these people. I don't like them,
Yeah.
but I'm fascinated with them.
Right. It's even like Donald Trump. Some people love him, some people hate him, but nobody can ignore him. It's one of those types.
See, Trump is one that I'm fascinated with. I met him when I was in WWE briefly, and I remember that was when he was just, Donald Trump, the rich guy. Um, I remember I was, like, kind of cold to him on purpose because I saw everyone was, like, kissing his ass. I was like, "I don't wanna kiss his ass." And so even though that was, like, my thing, I still he's a vibe and, like, you can't ignore, and when I see stuff online, I'm just like, "It's freaking Trump, man, like, love him or hate him, like, there he is."
Yep.
Not giving a shit.
No, I don't think the world is ready. Has obviously not been ready for somebody like him at all. It's just he's way too abrasive for some, and for others, he's a breath of fresh air. So
Yeah, and that's the thing where I get, like, that fascination because in some ways, I like that he doesn't give a shit in the sense of, like, he'll just say it, he doesn't sugarcoat it, and in general, I tend to like people like that, that are, like even if they sound kinda, like, rude or, like, they shouldn't really be saying that, if it's just communicating, it's like, "Okay, well, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it or, walk on eggshells, this is what it is." I like that. Like, I like people like that. Sometimes it's a little, but then you're like, "You know what? At least they're being direct." That's what it is, direct. I like direct, 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 and just, like, no room for me to be like, "Well, what did they really mean, or how did they feel?" I love directness, and I think that's the thing about Trump that fascinates me is how super direct he is, and people just cannot handle it.
right. Well, not to get too political, but what's your reaction when I've said it before, probably 1,000 times ad nauseum, but when I hear Trump and Hitler in the same sentence, Trump just sat down and has wagered some level of peace between Palestinians and Israelis. Would Adolf Hitler do something like that? And of course not. He'd want to kill everybody. So why is it that even with the good things he attempts to do, it doesn't really matter to some people? They're still going to continue on with the rhetoric.
That's just how people are, dude. That's how they
Well, we're
are. They
fucked.
wanna just no matter what,
We're fucked.
they want to believe or if they like, with the thing with, like, Trump, I think it's hard for people even if they're, like, against him, don't like him, and I understand. Um,
Hmm.
it's hard for them to accept when something he does something positive, and when you're dealing with somebody that's like a president, I feel it's really good to even if you don't like them, even if you're against them, anti them, to still be accepting when they do something that is a positive move. You know what I mean? But I just think
Right.
most people have a hard time doing that because they just want to think of all the other stuff and why they dislike them, that it's too hard. They don't want to give them any credit for anything because that to them maybe makes them feel like, well, now that's making me a hypocrite if I'm, like, thinking this like, Trump did something good over here because I hate him, when really it's like, "No, dude." It's like just recognizing it is what it is. Okay, good. It should be, "Finally, Trump did something good," but most people, it's like, it's nonstop that, and they don't wanna be open, and I think that's part of the problem with politics right now. It's like people need to they don't have to change their mind and just, like, start loving Trump at all, like, by any
No.
means.
No.
But
No. Where's
for your
common
own
sense, though?
cortisol levels to not spike, at least
Right.
just be like,
Right.
"Okay, good, he
Right.
did something good for once."
Well, it's become too much like, Jets Giants. We're so like my team, your team. That's it. And
Yeah,
no good can come from the other side. Now, in the past, look, it's always been one side or the other, but there's always been an in between. Common sense has been proven from both sides over the course of our history. We've had great Democratic and great Republican presidents. We've had both, but we're so divided now that it's Jets Giants. Will common sense be heard from the other side if a quarterback comes along, in a football analogy, that can throw the 50-yard bomb that we need for both sides? We got to be able to see the difference. I don't know if we can at this point.
I don't either,
Too far
dude.
gone.
I think we're just very screwed. Like
Yeah,
very,
it's
very
too far gone.
screwed. And I
Too
think
far
that
gone.
what keeps me not getting wrapped up or whatever is I just find my people, man. Like I know people who I can have conversations with, even if we don't agree on everything. I could still have those conversations. I could still live my life. I saw a video yesterday and it was on Instagram. And this dude was talking and he was like, when you die, you are buried by yourself. No one's with you.
Right.
You die alone.
No.
So
True.
why waste your energy on people who don't like you? And the whole topic was like worrying about people who don't like you and you don't know why they don't like you. And I think this goes even to what we're talking about. It's like people are so invested in fighting about politics and this and that and the other to where I knew somebody that was close to them, there was like a division in their family because of politics, and one of the family members needed like a kidney or something, and they wouldn't give it because they were so
Oh,
divided, and that person died.
come on
And
now.
so it's like that's where we're at, dude. That's where we're
Yeah,
at to where people. And the
not
thing is,
surprised.
if you want
Ugh.
to strip whatever it is, whatever topic it is that people are getting so that gnarly about, when you strip it away, it goes back to people's effing egos. It has nothing to do with the topic. All these people who want to talk crap about XYZ, Trump, or whoever else, it's like at the end of the day, the ones that are being the most toxic about it, when you strip it away, the problem is their effing ego. So their ego, we're living in this world where egos are being fed because of social media and people feel like, oh, now I can say this and da 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 da. And so now, before social media, you didn't have that. So the egos had to work harder to find the feed. Now it's easy to where it doesn't even make social media fun anymore. So it's just like it's dumb. And I wish people would just check their ego out at the door, because one day we're all gonna effing die. And they're over here wasting time in life over stuff. These people that hate Trump so much. And I understand. I'm not even saying that I'm pro Trump or anything. I'm just saying Trump is a good one because so many people are so emotionally invested in hating him so much that it is taking peace out of their own effing life. They don't even know this man. This man they never met. It's like, dude, you're fighting not I can't. I just can't. I
Yeah,
can't.
people are at war with their own ideologies, and everybody's a rock star now because of the internet, and that's also a disease unto itself. I wonder about people like Jim Morrison from The Doors. If he had lived and would have been around today, what would have he had had to say about society? Because he was already calling everybody out for a lot of the things we're discussing now. For example, he was always deep end of the pool. He said, "We're searching for death in the end of a candle. We're trying to find something that's already found us." He would basically tell you in a parable sort of way to wake the F up, the same way that preacher from Nazareth says in the good book. But I would really like to switch over to wrestling before we wind up getting another strike on YouTube. What do you think, Shell?
Let's go.
Let's switch gears. Let's do a little Mike and I go back and forth all the time about this. Why is Cindy Lauper not in the WWE Hall of Fame?
I don't know. I don't know because, dude, like I've said on this show before, she was a big influence on my career. And the thing is like Cindy Lauper, what she did, in my opinion, back then was above and beyond any other crossover celebrity stuff that they were doing. Like she really did. Like I almost feel like I've never heard her say this, but the vibe I get is like she liked it and she was like down to do it and wanted to do it and was excited to do it and wanted to be more involved and do things and not just be like, "Oh, this is our celebrity this week." And so like she is very important to the world of wrestling, whether people realize it or not.
I don't think we would be where we are today without her contributions, because without her and the MTV connection, Vince was smart enough to realize I cannot just tap into the youth with the wrestling stuff with the Hulkster. I can tap into the whole MTV crowd with Cindy. So that just launches everything. We don't have WrestleMania without Cindy's contributions, and Mike's favorite card ever, the War to Settle the Score, the whole Piper Hogan stuff, and Cindy's everything. I mean, but the real question is if she does eventually get inducted, which she should, obviously, who is left to induct her? Because Roddy is gone, and Hulkster is gone, and Captain Lou Albano is gone, and who would be the one that you would think about that you'd say this is the one who should induct Cindy Lauper? Because I have a strange thought in my head, but I'll let you ponder it first.
Gosh. Who?
Well, strange as it may sound, and I don't think they'd ever do it, but it's fitting. Vince.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Put on your big boy pants over there, Triple H, your big ball sack, and have Vince McMahon strut out there and say a few kind words and look good. Make sure he looks good. Don't do that
Yes.
shit with
For
the makeup.
goodness. And dye
Yeah.
your hair.
Make
Dye
sure he
it.
looks good. Let him bring a couple of his cats if he wants. He likes cats nowadays. Let him bring his cats and let him say a few things and be lovable and get off. But I think he'd be the one.
Yeah, you're
There's
right. He
no
doesn't even have to get deep or anything like that because he wouldn't.
right.
But I think that would be. I can't think of anyone.
Mike might have somebody. I'm sure he's probably like thinking of somebody, but I feel like Vince would be the one because everybody else is gone.
What
Along with
about?
MTV, by the way, who finally let us know they're not playing music
I
videos anymore.
know.
Ah, big deal. They stopped playing music videos like decades ago.
I know, but still. What about Lalani Kai?
Wow.
That would be who should induct her.
That's it right there. Yeah, I could see that.
Lalani
And she's
Kai.
working with them currently.
Look, I have become online buddies with her, and I think she is so
She's
effing
very
awesome.
sweet.
She is
She's great.
so effing awesome. Like,
She's
her
good.
career is amazing,
Oh yeah.
and she I think that Cindy Lauper, Vinny boy, you need to book Lauper to get inducted, and Lalani Kai needs to induct her. Do it.
Vinny's got no sway anymore. Vinny's been
Oh, come now.
bounced.
You know he has to have. Come on, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Actually, I think the darkest days are upon us, Shell. As far as Northeast guys who grew up with WWF, Vince Senior, Vince Junior. Listen, they're owned by TKO now. The game's over, and on top of it, ESPN is not happy with TKO. So I've got a bad feeling that soon we won't even recognize the WWE. It's going to be sold to another party, and it's not looking good.
Damn. So in our lifetime, we saw the fall of WWE. Wow. Because that's like when there's a store that was been thriving at the corner. You
Right.
go there, your grandma went there, your mom went there, you went there, you bring your kids there, and
Yep.
then they get bought out. And then it's
Yep.
not quite the same, but you still go. And then all of a sudden things start to not look so good. They're not
Mm-hmm.
keeping up. They're not
Mm-hmm.
stocking things like they used to. And then it seems like, damn, do they even care? And then somebody else comes and you think they're
Right.
going to clean it up. And it's almost like they don't even care. And they're
Right.
just like, whatever.
Right.
Damn, you saying that. That's
There's
what
no
makes
one
me
to
think
fill
of.
the vacuum right now. There's not, AEW is not Ted Turner's WCW. It's not the same thing. WWE may continue to be a top tier product, but I'll tell you right now, it's become very already corporate and plastic feeling. So
Oh,
we're
that's
on our
so
way.
sad.
We're on our way to New York Yankee indifference. When George Steinbrenner died, he was the Vince McMahon of the New York Yankees. Now we have his son, who's a bean counter. So that's what I feel is happening at WWE. Sure, they're making their money, but the product is losing its zest.
And they don't
So
care. They just want the money. As long as there's
yep,
money getting pumped in.
that's
Oh,
it.
that's so effing sad,
It
dude.
is.
Because there's this song, And maybe I don't know who sings it or the name of it, but it goes, "Welcome to New York, welcome to New York." Have you heard that song? It's
No,
kind of
I
like
can't say.
poppy.
I've heard a bunch of New York tunes, Sinatra, Ace Frehley, but I can't say I've heard that one.
It's like a kind of like a pop song.
Okay.
So it's on this movie called The Secret Life of Pets at the beginning.
Hmm.
And whenever I hear it, I get really choked up. So like if I end up watching the movie Secret Life of Pets, I get choked up at the beginning because to me, when this chick is singing about New York and how it's like this opportunity and opening up and all this, to me that means WWF. And that song to me equals that's how I felt and that's what it was. And got to go to New York, go New York. That's how they always call it. Oh, up in
Yeah.
New York. And so to hear the fact that I keep that nostalgic about me whenever I see that film or I hear that song on the radio, it is so heartbreaking to hear what you're telling me because I had no idea
Yeah.
that that's the case because not that long ago I heard or I saw some commercial and it was like the voiceover was one of the WWE girls saying there's no better feeling than being a WWE superstar. And I was with Metal Jesus and I looked at him, I go, she's not wrong. Like it's a feeling and it's like and I get it. And like even though I just had a taste. And so even though I've been out of the game forever, even though I've been butthurt over WWE, all the things, I still had this like association of what it was. And so that's what I'm saying. Heartbreaking to hear that it's worse than being watered down. It's dying. It's not even, it sounds like maybe it's barely getting watered now.
Well, again, we're living in a world now where there's so many people. The explosion in population. It's going to have its success, but the product itself is feeling lifeless. Like there's no urgency to it. It's almost like when Vince went into that dark time period with cartoon characters. We're not getting cartoon characters, but what we're getting as an audience is a feeling, and this is when you know you're in trouble. A feeling of indifference. I feel indifferent, and if I'm feeling indifferent watching professional wrestling, you're losing me. And that's if you're losing me, maybe they don't care though. Maybe they just want the younger generations, but I don't see the passion level the way it was when we were kids gravitating towards Hogan or when we were in our 20s gravitating towards Austin and Rock. The business is not the same. It's more about the company, not the individual. The individual used to sell the company. Now the company sells the individual. That's a problem. You've got to have big time stars, larger than life. Hogan was wrestling. Austin became the face of wrestling. You got to do that. If you're not willing to make that sacrifice, what am I doing? Getting on a soapbox here? Stop me, Shelly. I mean, seriously. But if you're not willing to make
No.
that sacrifice for your own company and put a name that big, out of the fear that they may turn around and run to WCW like Bret Hart, then you may never get anywhere other than where you are. And if they're bean counting and they're happy, I guess that's fine, right?
That's
Whatever.
sad, dude. And
Yeah.
now it makes so much sense about like all the things I've seen online about like Vince and this and that. It's like he's old, so he's probably like, I just want to relax. It's like you said, he loves cats now with his cats, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Whatever
Nine
else he
of them.
does.
He's got nine.
So, oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
like he didn't care. And see, my whole thing is I didn't know all these details. I
Well, I think he
thought
got beaten down though too, Shelley. I think that it was also coinciding with the Chanel Grant shit and everything. I think he had just had enough, and he didn't want to wind up like Joe Paterno from Penn State. We all know that how badly that wound up for him at Penn State with the predator that was working for him for all those years, Sandusky and all that shit. So I guess he just wanted to go out the back door. I wonder if he wanted to stick it to the family though too, because at the end of the day, it didn't wind up in the hands of Stephanie. It didn't wind up in the hands of Shane. So who knows?
I wanna know why. Did they not
Mm.
care? Did Stephanie? Because I always thought
Stephanie
that
distanced. She distanced. Once Vince started with the sexual allegation shit, Stephanie like stepped away. She got out. She was like, "I'm gonna go be a mom." Triple H stayed because what is Triple H gonna do?
what is he
That's
gonna
his
do?
life. It's his life. So he's continued.
And where does Shane O'Mac fit in all this? Does
Shane
he's just
O'Mac
never
is.
really cared, right?
Here, you know what? The more we talk with people who knew them and worked with them, from what I gather, Shane was Stephanie to Vince. Growing up, when we saw Vince take the company from his father, we always assumed, looking at Shane, from the moment I saw Shane, and it's
Yeah.
not even a sexist thing. It's just like
No.
there's the next
Yeah.
Vince.
Mhm.
There he is,
Mhm.
right there.
Mhm.
But apparently, behind the scenes, nope, not to Vince. Stephanie had all the qualities he wanted, and Stephanie was the one. So Shane, well, Shane had to be fucking pissed. I'm sorry. I'm speculating, but I'd be pissed. I'd be like,
I'm
excuse
just
me?
so curious about Shane
Yeah.
O'Mac because
Yep.
like did he even want that? And like is that why maybe
Don't even know.
Stephanie
Yeah.
Stephanie had the qualities that Vince was like, F you, Shane. You're over here. Like, let's just say I don't know anything, but let's just say, like, okay, he's just kind of like the, I don't want to say wild, but like, that's the only word I can think of. Like,
No, I
oh,
think
maybe he's
you're
just
onto it because
like a little,
I think you're onto it. I think Shane had his own visions, and Stephanie was more bendable to what Vince wanted. And I think that's it because Shane was going to probably do his own thing, just like Vince Jr. did to his father when he took it over. Vince, you want to do your own thing. So I'm sure there was some ideas that Shane wanted to do that Vince was like, "You're not doing that," And then Stephanie was more of the
yeah.
yes, yes, daddy. It's
Yes, that's
possible.
what and maybe I wonder if who's older, Shane or
That's a
Stephanie?
good question. I would think Shane.
Okay. So I always thought that, but I wasn't sure. So I wonder if the dynamic in the family is Shane's always been like, F you, dad. And then Stephanie's vibe has always been like, I want to make dad proud. I want him to value me. I want him to see that I'm worthy.
Right.
Da 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 da. And I wonder if that's how it was. And that's why she's the woman that she is. You know what I
Right.
mean?
The,
And I don't
the
mean that in
sad
a
thing.
derogatory way at all. It's just like,
No, no.
she's awesome.
The
But
sad thing is that they both had tremendous work ethic. Shane gave his body for that business. He really
oh
did.
my
He killed himself.
gosh,
He,
yes.
he killed himself, and Stephanie did too. Stephanie did a lot of stuff, physically too herself. I mean, they really both hit home runs for their father. But yeah, I was always puzzled at that dynamic. Let's switch over to, this is the end for John Cena. One of Mike's all-time favorites, and someone I've always respected, but I was never into the rap thing. There I go with rap again. I'm a Jericho guy, with Fozzy doing the metal stuff.
Mhm.
But what rap artist, would you say has best integrated the rap thing into the entrances and stuff like that? Any particular rap artist you think has done something super major for wrestling? I mean, John Cena himself has propelled rap music in wrestling, I would think. I think of him immediately.
1000%. 1000%. I can't really think of anyone. I'm sorry to say,
Yeah.
but Cena did his own thing. And you know what's crazy is because of social media, I see content that I just wasn't aware of, and, like, one of them was a music video John Cena did for one of his songs, and it was showing him, like, in his hometown with his buddies, and they're all, like, party and I just thought that was, like, the coolest thing ever, dude, because at that point, he was maybe not the Cena he is today, but he was still over and famous, and to do that, I thought that was a really cool nod, um and it reminded me of how, oh yeah, Cena did his songs. That's what's the whole part of his packaging. Like, I don't know. I don't know why I just never like thought of it or whatever. Gave it two different like it's oh, that's Cena's music. But I was just like, yeah, dude. And so I have to say the rap artist is John Cena because I really can't think of anyone else at the top of my head.
Well, not the Insane Clown Posse.
Whose song did they do?
Uh, so hopefully not even their own. Never mind. So that's a whole nother story. So what's your thoughts on Cena retiring? How would you sum up his contributions to this business? He's a giant, obviously.
Dude, Cena was good for business, you know? He like him or not, I think he's done good for the business. Um, when I first met Cena, he was prototype, and there's a school here, or was a school here in SoCal called UPW, and they were hugely affiliated with WWF back in the day. And that's when I first met Victoria and Cena. And I went to one of their trainings, and this was before he was like, I think he was getting ready to go on the road as prototype. And I remember he was like running the ropes, and he like broke the ropes, and the ring like broke, and that just like always stood out to me. And so fast forward to who he is today, it's like, yeah, dude, John Cena, like he made a huge impact. Like he I know some people like will criticize, oh, he's not a good worker and this and that, but it's like you don't have to be the world's best wrestler to be a star. And I think John Cena is an amazing worker. There's a difference between being a worker and a wrestler. You can be a really good technical wrestler and still be a good worker, and that's when you have a good package. Eddie Guerrero, for example. But Cena, I know some people poo-poo on like, "Oh, he's just like whatever," but dude, he tells good stories in that ring, in my opinion. He gets the job done. Um, I used to hear rumors that if somebody was doing better in merchandise, he would, like, put the kibosh on it, but
Mm.
then I heard that that was just a rumor and a lie, so I'm not sure what it is, but that was always my only negative feeling was if that's true. Other than that, like, when I've been around him outside of the ring, dude, he treats people well, man. I'll never forget when we were overseas, there was a bunch of us at the hotel, and there was, like, this huge long table, so many wrestlers all sitting all together having dinner. Dude paid for it all. Like, who does that? He didn't even say anything. The check came, and, like, the only reason why I was quiet and just, like, looking around because I was tripping out that this was my life, and I noticed while everyone else was like, whatever, that the lady gave him the bill. He just stood up. He goes, "You guys have a good night." So classy. Didn't even say, "I got it, guys," or anything. Like, and that to me is, like, the John Cena I think about. I don't really think about the wrestler. That's secondary to me. So, f for me to see how he treated people behind the scenes, as far as I'm concerned, that showed who he was to me, and that's what made me when I had the secondary thought about his wrestling and his work, made sense of why he seemed very effortless in the ring. He seemed very believable in the ring, and I think he's had a really great career, and I think it is a great time for him to hang up his boots now instead of just, like, doing a flare, you know?
What do you think about wrestlers that just keep hammering negative stuff like a Bret Hart? Like Bret Hart recently is now bringing up again that Vince and Shawn Michaels were lovers. As my cat once again tries to dive bomb me. Um, any thoughts on Bret is constantly either he's trashing Goldberg or he's after Vince again or he's trashing Shawn or at what point do you think the internet feeds into a little too much to these people? And why do some people just like buy into everything somebody like Bret Hart says? Is it because he's a wrestler and John Cena isn't and Hulk Hogan wasn't? Bret's a real wrestler? What is it with Bret Hart that people are so magnetized to his crazy opinions?
I heard those rumors too,
Really?
not from Bret Hart.
Okay.
So, to me, in saying
Not so
that,
crazy.
I'm not trying to start shit at all because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just saying what the things
Fair
I've
enough.
heard, okay?
Right.
So, when that came out, I was like, "Nothing new." But then I saw how people reacted, and then there was people, like, within the business, I think it was, like, Bischoff and somebody else who was like, "That is not true." So, I don't even know what's true. This was not the first time I've heard that. I remember I was told, "Yeah, we used to joke around in this song and be like, Vince's boy, he's just his boy toy, Vince's
Ooh.
boy." Like, that's what I've heard. So, like I said, when Brett said that, it made and then I saw the backlash, I was like, "Okay, so and I don't know what to believe now because which one's right or which one's true." But, I think people so let's say it's true. just for conversation's sake. To me, Bret Hart is somebody who's saying things that not anyone else is saying. So that's why some of the stuff that he says can come off crazy, or he's starting trouble, or always talking shit. But I almost wonder if Bret Hart is like, I know all of this stuff and I'm so sick and tired of like everyone kissing these people's ass that like whatever. So I'm going to talk about this stuff. And so I don't feel like when people are like, oh, he's just this bitter, da 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 da. Da. And hey, maybe he is bitter, but when I see his stuff, I feel like he just knows because he's Bret Hart, people are going to listen and give him some kind of validation and know that he knows what he's talking about. So he's going to say it. And so to me, I'm like, because I don't know Bret Hart. Like, I've been in the same room as him many times, but I don't even think I've shaken his hand before, so I know nothing about him except his wrestling, right?
Mhm.
So, I just feel he's not this bitter talking shit guy. I think that his therapy and his way of releasing and trying to let go of stuff is he just has to say it. Now, who's to say if it's right or wrong? You know, because saying that Vince and Shawn Michaels were lovers, that doesn't really do anything except create whispers, right? So it's not really proactive. So I can see like it doesn't change anything. So I could see why that looks like a person trying to create trouble or drama or is this bitter or whatever. But I just feel because I've been there, it eats him up inside and he has to let people know. But because I've been there and I ain't no Bret Hart, but because I've been in that feeling of like, I just want to see because like, it's almost like there's an injustice going on. So I want to be part of bringing justice together, but that never does anything except create more problems. That's what I've learned. It just creates more problems because when people especially when you have other people like a Bischoff and whoever else saying that he's not telling the truth or that's not true, then it creates that narrative that, oh, he must be crazy then. And I know that because I'm in the same boat. People call me crazy and they say that I'm this and that because I've said certain things. So I've always related to Bret Hart in that sense. But now I'm just like, what's the point? Like, F these people, dude. Just what's the point? Like, I don't know. Bret Hart.
How poisonous is the wrestling world still? We all know that the wrestling world has been pretty poisonous over the years. Is it changing at all?
I don't know. Because I'm over here hearing for the first time these things you're telling me. And like, the people that I still talk to that are in the wrestling business, it's weird because like half of them will be like, oh, it's so different now. Like, it's not like how it was. And like, this and that. And it's so great. And then the other half are like, nothing has changed. If anything, it's gotten worse. So maybe both are right. I think maybe it depends on who you are in wrestling, where you're at in your career, and how you handle business. I think that's what dictates your experience and how if it's going to be totally toxic and filled with negativity, or if you're someone that's going to be like the ones that say, no, it's different now, it's great, whatever. And when they say this to me, it's not like they're trying to work me, you know what I mean? Like they're just like trying like, no, like it's good now. Like you'd be so surprised. And then I go, oh great, this is awesome. And then I'll talk to somebody else and they're like, are you kidding me? No, that's not great. This is
Right.
not how it is. So it's kind of like goes back to like when you have people that have done shitty things to others and then people come forward about it. And then there's other people that are like, I just don't see how they can be that way because my experiences with them have always been this. It's not to both people can be right in this about the same person, but it's like different experiences, situations, circumstances, all of that. And I think that's with wrestling, kind of how it is same as it ever was, but at the same time, I don't know. Some people claim it's better. I don't know. I don't know.
Where do you see wrestling going to be 5 to 10 years from now? We're saying goodbye to John Cena. CM Punk is towards the end of his career.
Mhm.
Rumors are flying that Chris Jericho may come back for a final rendezvous. Where do you see pro wrestling going in the next 5 to 10 years if we're not going to have the new stars and we're dealing with the company line?
I don't know, man. And then I remember seeing something online about how they're gonna have writers that are AI writers. Is that right?
Oh no. How do you feel about AI? Let's just switch there real quick because I
Oh.
can't stand it. I have a huge problem with it. Mike doesn't. If Mike was here, he'd be like, "I love AI," and I see some of the positives of AI, but in
Mhm.
general, I feel like it's another Pandora's box. We should not be playing with that stuff.
Have we not seen Terminator? Like,
Have
have
we
we
not seen the
not
original Star Trek? They used to have these moral lessons with Shatner. Come on, guys, nobody paying attention.
1000%?
Oh my
Um,
god.
oh, what was that one machine's name? And it was taking over. I forget his name. But yes, dude, look, I
Well, it was
am
the
so
M5 or Nomad. It was one of the two.
the
I'm remembering the.
Nomad.
Yep.
Um, oh, what was the name? I used to always say the name randomly. But anyways, so with AI, it's like as a model and a content creator, it's really annoying to me that people like are taking the soul out of creating because they're relying on
Right.
AI. Like what? Like no, like there's even they try to recruit me for this site where it's your digital twin and it's like you, but not. It's your AI you, and people can go and like have conversations with it
Right.
this being like a OnlyFans with it, right? And I'm thinking to myself, excuse me, no, like it's been like way over 15 years since I've shot topless or nude, right? I gave that up a long time ago. So there's fans that I've had, some of them that are still with me, that they would pay top dollar for me to send them a topless photo. So if they went to this AI twin of mine and finally got that fixed, even
Voila.
though they know it's not me,
Right.
that still feeds into their system this
Close
thing.
enough.
Exactly. Shelly won't give it to me, so I'll go to her AI
Oh my
twin.
god.
And then think about it. What if they're like, "Oh, do this, and that on me," and then it does it. You know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
illustration
Yeah.
of that, and it's like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no. The
Yeah.
reason why I stopped shooting topless and nude, it was in my late 20s, is when the last time I did one was because I had a boyfriend at the time, and he was totally cool with it. Like he was a independent film director. Like it was no big deal. Like whatever. But I was like, I shoot really sexy content. I really want something that's private just for my man. So that's when I came up with the rule: no nips, no vag. I'll shoot in some very sexy stuff, barely there stuff, but no nips, no vag, because that's reserved for the person I'm with. And I've kept true to that. And now more than ever, being with Metal Jesus for almost 10 years, I'm really happy that he is the only one that's had access to those things. So if I did the AI twin thing, even though it's not really me, it feeds to that energy of people getting what they finally wanted but could never get. And then you have AI music being out there, and it's like, I'm such a music person, and I'm just like, why? I want to hear stories. Why? Even if it's a song with no lyrics and it's all just music, I want to know what was the meaning by it. What made you write
Right.
all of that? What made you come with that's what I'm fascinated with. I love the story behind music and how it can pull you in because you relate to that energy or whatever. And so AI, no. It's just I don't and to me, the other aspect of it is laziness. And now everyone and their mom thinks they can do XYZ and they're little experts because their AI does it for them. And it's like, no. And to me, I'm old school. When you want to do something, study it, you learn it, you figure it out, and then you do it and have experience, and then you grow from there. It's like it helps you as a person to like develop all of that, and then it adds to whatever it is that you're doing. AI is making you skip all these things and then goes back to the ego. People just want to put out there, oh, this and that, da, da, da. Well, why'd you do AI? And I'm just so sick of it. And people are really going to regret it when AI effing takes over and they're done.
Yeah, AI has made me look fat, and I stopped doing topless because I was too hairy. But let's not get into that.
I understand. I
Yeah,
understand.
I'm
I'm
Greek.
Mexican, so I am a
Yeah,
little hairy too.
yeah. Oh. Good. See, well, we're gonna wrap up. One final thought, though, I wanted to ask you. Not to get personal, but hey, I feel pretty comfortable. You've been on the show several times, and thank you for coming on like you always do with us. Are you at peace with your wrestling career?
No, no.
Do tell.
Okay, like some days I am going back to like Lady Gaga following and unfollowing. Some days I am and some days I'm not. So that tells me I'm not. Because if I was, I wouldn't have that struggle.
Mm,
So there there was two companies that I wanted to work for before I retired, and that was WoW and Lucha Underground. Especially Lucha Underground. Oh
yeah,
my gosh. I
I
was
enjoyed
just
that
like,
show.
and here's the thing.
Very good
I
show.
was so inspired by it because like this looks like a freaking movie. And then
Mm-hmm.
for me, a lot of the people that were on that show, then they became a star on that show, were people who like I trained with back in the day and never really quite got their mainstream shot, and like or people on the indies that never got their, and there they were becoming household names in Lucha Underground, which was so freaking awesome. So that energy was there, right? And then I went to one of their tapings. I got invited, and Vince Russo was there actually. And
Bro.
we were hanging out, and then I was talking to everyone, and all the people I knew that fall in that categories that I just told you, they all were so happy, and you can feel the energy backstage, and everyone was, it was like it was like a dream come true because it was like a wrestling show, but like ran like a television show, and everyone was happy to be there and they were excited. I was vibing. And then and Winter, remember the wrestler Winter?
Mm-hmm.
She was with me too. So it was me,
Mm-hmm.
her, and Russo. And so we were sitting up in this seating area, and behind us was this platform stage, and there was this band playing there. And as the fans came in, they were playing, and it was like Latin sounding music, but with lots of energy, and like it was so amazing. And the people coming in, and I was just watching the fans come in, and immediately they were having a good time. And I remember looking at the guy that was singing, and he was just vibing on that mic. He was kicking his legs. I was thinking, don't fall off the platform. And the whole energy in that room was on fire, dude. It was on fire. And I was like, I have to be a part of this. And so they used me for some stuff like that was not on TV or anything like that. And it never worked out. And then they ended up folding. And I heard that when they were folding, what made me fall in love with it as far as the backstage stuff and all that, I don't know what the details were, but it changed. Like people were not happy anymore and like this and that. And then wow, they I've been trying to get a job with them since before WWE when they were called something else. I forget what it was. And or maybe it was WoW at that time too. And it just never worked out. It never worked out. And then I did a couple of shows for them that were non-televised. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. And there was times I was real bitter about it because I didn't understand why, especially because everyone and their mom was like, "How come you're not in WoW? That's like perfect for you." And I'm like, "I
Mm.
don't know." And so now when I look back on it, it's like, you know what? What's meant for me is meant for me, and what's not is not. And obviously, up until this point, it just hasn't been meant for me. I'm a huge fan of the show. I love what they do because it gives me, here's the thing with WoW, it's so deep because going back to being that little girl that I was, that I loved Glow wrestling, and that WoW really has done a good job of presenting their product in that vein, like, that's the true full circle for little Shelly in the wrestling business. Because even though I was, like, intrigued and drawn to, like, WWF, it was Glow that did something for me as a little girl and empowering me and giving me that I can do anything. So that's the full circle. That's the way of, like, I was always taught in wrestling growing up in it that you are supposed to pay forward the business. And to me, paying forward the business is giving back in that sense of, like, how it just the energy of glow that it has to me. So I always said, and I still say to this day, I will come out of retirement if Lucha Underground came back and wanted me, or if WoW ever wanted me. Other than that, I'm retired, but that's a feeling, and maybe it's something I'm just not supposed to experience, but it's an empty hole that I have inside of me that I don't know if it's ever gonna be filled, because I don't know if it's meant for me to be at WoW. Maybe it's just not, and that's okay. But it really makes me feel, as far as my wrestling career goes, incomplete, because I never got that. Even though I had my last match, I don't feel like I ever got to have my final goodbye.
Mm.
And to be able to have my final goodbye with WoW or Lucha Underground, specifically WoW, that would make me feel like complete in my journey as being a professional wrestler.
Well, it makes sense. You're looking for the Lion King result, the full circle, the closure deal. You know, oddly enough, I was in bands for a million years, and you don't really know. It's weird like this with life, but you don't know sometimes that this is the last big stage show you're going to do. You don't realize it. Other things, life takes over, years go by, and then you look back and you're like, well, wait a minute, I didn't really get to go out on my own terms. The only advice I could ever give to anybody is then you just tweak yourself, reinvent yourself. I went from doing the rock stuff to look what I do now. This is I was like, I'll just reinvent myself. Jericho's done it 1,000 times. If he could do Fozzy in wrestling, I could do this in rock. So
Absolutely. And I love what you do. I love what you
thank you.
guys do. Like, I'm so grateful for the first time I was on your guys' show, and just what you guys are doing. It inspires me as a creator as well. And, that's why, like I say, as far as my non-closure, it's okay if I never get it, because I have a fruitful life. And if the sacrifice of that I had to make in my life was to have a incomplete, in my opinion, um, closure to my wrestling career, it's okay, because all the fruits of my life that I have now outweigh it. But I can't help but feel that empty effing hole in my soul.
Uh, that's perfectly normal. That's the competitor in you, and when you get that feeling, remind yourself of one simple fact: there are thousands, if not millions, of young women who would have killed for your resume. So there's always that. You know what I'm getting at?
There is, and I'm grateful for my body of work and all the things that I've done in and out of the ring, and I totally understand all that. That's why, even though there's that hole in my soul about it, again, it's okay, because I got to do things that a lot of people didn't. And going back to what I've talked about on your show before, being able to play the vampire, being able to play Salinas, and, like, these characters that had meaning to me and were already a part of me. And I got to experience those things and experience it when I did, being in WWE when I was, whether it was OVW or when I was on the road, and being at TNA at that time. And it was very like never the same, dude. Just never the same. And I'm so grateful for that I got to experience all that. And like I said, if the sacrifice I had to make was to not to be able to fulfill what I set out for, fine. It's fine.
Well, Shelly, I want to thank you for coming on tonight, and we're going to see you again soon, right? Promise?
Absolutely. You tell me I'm always here. We work out as long as we can work out a time. I'm down.
Excellent. Great job tonight. Thank you very much. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up. You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh with the great Shelly Martinez. Until next time, later.